But I tell you something, of all the racists, I think, in the Republican Party, you know who the worst one is? Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Yes, and I'll tell you why. Donald Trump sued me last year for $5 million. Do you know that? Yes. And here's how this came about. Donald Trump thinks we have a feud because he won't do my show. As if I could give a fuck if that moron did my show. We have a feud because he became a presidential candidate. Now you're on my turf. And not just a presidential candidate, a one-issue candidate. All about how Obama was illegitimate as a president. Remember he was sending his investigators to Hawaii? Who were finding amazing things? Yeah, like the price of the Mai Tais in the hotel bar, and when an idiot our boss is to send us here on an expense account. Amazing things. Yeah, we're still waiting for those results. Anyway, so after Obama releases his long-form birth certificate, Trump goes to, well, now I want to see his college records. You know, because a black guy getting into college, something fishy about that, all right? So he offers the President of the United States, real class, $5 million to release his college records. So I offered Donald Trump, yes, on the air, $5 million, if he could prove that he was not the love child of his mother and an orange-haired orangutan. Wait. Not for no reason, because we showed with pictures that there are only two things in nature that have that exact same color hair: Donald Trump and an orange-haired orangutan. And this dummy releases his birth certificate and sues me and goes to the press and turns what was a one-night, one-joke gag into a 3-month national debate over whether his mother fucked an ape. He is not a bright man, so I am not going to say another word about Donald Trump. All right, I'm going to say one more thing about Donald Trump. No, one more thing, but it's not even really about him. I'm just using him to ask a moral question. Are you ready for a moral question? You sound like a great crowd. Are you ready for a moral question? Great, here it is. It's 1956. You're in the locker room at Penn State. You see a 10-year-old Donald Trump walking into the showers with Jerry Sandusky. Do you save Jerry? A moral question, ladies and gentlemen. Now, look, I tell you something. I understand why Donald Trump votes Republican. I understand why anyone in the top 1% of wage earners votes Republican. They represent you perfectly. Anybody else who votes Republican are just one of corporate America's useful idiots. That's true. Okay. Sorry, one more thing. Now that Rachel Dolezal claims there is no biological proof that she is the daughter of her white parents, Donald Trump must insist that she produce her birth certificate. And Don, speaking of producing your birth certificate, I know things got kind of crazy when you filed that lawsuit against me, but we never really did clear up that issue of who your biological parents are.
Hey, by the way, I see you going ahead with this lawsuit against me.
Oh, well, let me explain.
No.
You know, that's another one. This guy gets on, and I don't know what it is. He spoke so horrible. You know, I had a father who actually was a very handsome, dashing guy.
I remember your dad.
Oh, yeah, he was the best-looking guy. And he was a builder in Brooklyn.
Right.
And he was a good guy, smart guy and a good guy. And I learned a lot from my father. And believe me, he was so proud and all that stuff, because he never wanted to come into Manhattan because he said, oh, that's not my territory. But he was just a good professional and a great guy and a handsome guy and a beautiful mother. But my mother was 5'11", and Robin, that was a long time ago. You didn't have people 5'11".
Right.
My mother was a beauty. So anyway, I don't know how I turned out, but, not so bad. Some people would say, not bad. Anyway, the ones that liked me. So this guy comes out, and he went viciously, out of nowhere. Jay Leno says, what about Trump? I said, what's he asking about me for? What do I have to do with this guy? I know nothing about him, Bill Maher. Except that he has asked me to be on his show for 2 years.
Right.
Please go on my show, or however long. Please go on my show. And by the way, I would have done it. I have nothing against him or his show or anything else. I mean, I don't agree with his point of view, but I would have done it. But it's hard in terms of doing it, Howard. Finding the time and everything else. And I've been with you a long time. If you and I have been friends a long time. If you would have asked me to go to your studio and all, I would have done that too. Okay. So what happened, it's just too tough. So I didn't do a show. So all of a sudden he gets upset that I won't do a show.
Right.
And he starts hitting me with stuff, and I didn't care. But then he's on Jay Leno, and he made this offer, a stupid offer about, this and that. And he said, I will give Donald Trump $5 million if he can prove this and that. So I said, wow. And he didn't say, I'm joking, I'm this, I'm that.
Right.
He said, and the money can go to charity. So I'll give him $5 million, and the money will go to charity. He didn't say, I'm only kidding, Jay.
Right. He said that your parents were part orangutan or something.
They're orangutan, and this and that, okay? And he said, I will give him 5. So I immediately, the following day, unlike Obama, by the way, I had my birth certificate right at hand. I was able to get it within 9.2 seconds.
Right.
So I sent him the birth certificate or whatever, documentation. And we said, as per your offer, we hereby accept, and here's the documentation, and please send my charities. I listed 5 charities, good ones, Federation of Jewish Philanthropies, and different ones, okay, Dana-Farber Cancer, et cetera, right, Sandy victims. So I said, please send the check, and I will send them out distributed to 5. And he didn't answer.
So you're suing him.
And press asks him about it, didn't answer. So I felt I had an obligation. I don't know if I'm going to win or lose it. Strange thing.
I don't know either. I mean, in a way, technically, he did say if you would...
It was unconditional. He didn't say, hey, I was only... Even after the case, after he said it, he didn't say, Jay, I was only joking when I just said that. He said, I will give Donald Trump $5 million to his charity, a charity of his choice.
You might win.
Well, I think so. And then, okay, so here's what happens. The Cooley Law Firm. That's one of the biggest firms in California. It's a very highly respected. So I went to one of the guys here. I said, what do you guys think of this case? They said, I think you have a good case. By the way, a lot of these firms, they can't take a case unless they, they're not going to file a case where they're going to have problems, all right?
Right.
So I said, what do you think? And they don't need the $2 that it's going to cost because it's a simple case. It's not like, we're sending rockets to the moon, right?
But in a way, your point is hey, Bill Maher embarrassed you on TV, and so you're going to teach him a lesson.
It was worse than that. He talked badly about my father.
Right. He hurt you.
Well, and he talked badly about my mother and my father.
Right.
And they were amazing people. They were, hey, Howard.
I understand.
Like you and I.
Yeah.
They were married 63 years.
Right.
They had an amazing love affair. We don't see.
In other words, when a guy screws around about you, okay, maybe I'll be a good sport. But when he screws around about your parents and calls them orangutans, you're going to go on the warpath.
So terrible, and the venom with which he said it. Somebody said comedy. I said that wasn't comedy because maybe you didn't see it. I was actually watching, and I said, wow, that's venom.
If Bill Maher, listen.
He was so nervous when he was saying it.
Right.
It was almost like it was rehearsed because he was so nervous when he was saying it, and there was such hatred. And I said, why would he hate me that much? And, obviously the hatred is of me because he didn't know my parents. And, my father would have blown him away. My father would have looked at him, blown away. The best guy, by the way, tough as hell, but really handsome.
But if Bill Maher called you today, I'm giving you a theoretical.
Right.
And he realizes, maybe Trump's got a case. And he called you up and he said, Mr. Trump, look, I'm a comedian. I'm trying to be funny. I obviously don't think that about your parents. I apologize to you. And please don't sue me because who knows? I mean, I probably should have just said it's a joke.
I don't have the $5 million.
And $5 million is a lot of money.
Would you think he has $5 million?
I don't know what he...
I don't know. I know HBO is infamously cheap. They do not pay a lot of money. But he does stand up and does a lot of corporate gigs. So, you know,
I met him 2 years ago when I was in Los Angeles. I met him at where I was having dinner, and he came over and said hello. He was such a nice guy. He was really nice. He was with a young girl. And
black girl?
No, actually, no.
Mm-hmm.
But he was with a young girl, pretty girl, and I said, you know, great. And he came over. He couldn't have been nicer. And that was it. We just had a quick conversation. He said, come on my show. I said, I will do that. And I did say I will. And, you know, I would have done it eventually anyway. I have no, even though he is from the other side of the planet, from, you know, politically speaking, that's okay. Right. I don't care about that. I would have done a show. But then he started hitting me a while ago on his show, you know, just telling little stuff.
Right.
And eventually...
They got to you.
No, it didn't get to me at all when he did the Jay Leno and he started bringing my parents. But Howard, he made an unconditional offer. It's interesting. Harvey Levin of TMZ called me yesterday. I like Harvey Levin. Okay? Right. And he's a lawyer. And he goes, I got to tell you, I think you have a case. Because when you watch it, he said, I will give you $5 million for your favorite. Now, I tell you what, if you take the word charity out, I don't know, maybe it doesn't play as well. You know, if it's $5 million coming to Donald Trump. But if it's $5 million going to Sandy victims and to cancer and
why not?
Why not? Well,
big difference.
So answer the question. If he called you today and said, look, I think you do have a case because I didn't make it clear that I was doing parody or joke. Would you let me off the hook on this? Would you let him off the hook?
Howard, let me just say this. He may feel that because actually he has no comment whatsoever. I mean, since he did that show, he has had absolutely no comment.
He's never repeated it?
No, except for, oh, what? Somebody asked him somebody told him he got sued. He goes, oh, what? That was the only comment. He hasn't said anything. He didn't say anything. He has no comment. So what happened is he went to see a lawyer.
Right.
And his lawyer said, you got a problem.
Right. If he called you today and said, I've got a problem, Mr. Trump, I have to apologize to you. I did not make that clear. And maybe you could even say to him, okay, on the condition you go back on the Tonight Show and apologize to me.
I would certainly have a discussion with him, Howard. I mean, you know, look, I'm not looking to go crazy. I would like to win the money for the charities.
Right.
And honestly, if it weren't the charities, I wouldn't have brought the suit because I feel I have an obligation to the charities to bring the suit. You know, they're great charities.
Sure.
Police Athletic League in New York is another one.
Right.
And I feel I have an obligation to bring the suit. And lawyers have told me. I had 4 or 5 calls from lawyers that I know. You know, I know I'm probably the king of lawyers, unfortunately.
And Donald Trump has a book, Think Big, Make It Happen, Business and Life. Better than the working title, Me Want Banana, Me Want Tree, Inside the Mind of a Half-Human, Half-Orangutan Billionaire. Oh, go sue me again. This guy openly said he was trying to start a race war, which is delusional. Because if Donald Trump's speech didn't do it the day before, nothing will. Did you see that? Oh, my God. This is Donald Trump. After 3 years since the last election, of every single conservative in this country saying if the Republicans ever hope to win the White House back, they have to reach out to Latinos. Donald Trump opens his campaign saying, Mexicans, they bring drugs, they bring crime, and they're rapists. Oh, wait, I meant to say fraternities. They're the ones who... Trump said, when Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. I love this idea that Mexico is sending its people. Hey, you, Rodriguez, Alvarez, Cabrera, get up here. You're next. Come on, in the pipeline. I mean, honestly, between the white woman who thinks she's black and Trump thinking he could be president, it was a very good week for narcissistic personality disorder. It's like your abnormal psych textbook came to life. And Donald Trump's speech was so perfectly, impeccably, beautifully unhinged and unfact-checked. Like he said, economic growth has never been below 0 until the last quarter. It's been below zero 42 times since World War II. He said there are no jobs to be had. There are 5.4 million openings, the most in 15 years. He said we've never beaten Japan at anything. He was talking out of his ass so much. At one point, a roadie went on stage and put a mic behind him. So, and I love this. He just rambled on like Castro, you know, going on and on for hours. And then finally he went, and I swear this is his quote. He said, "To sum up, I would do various things very quickly." Who is not going to want to vote for that, ladies and gentlemen? There you go. Various things very quickly. And there was a little scandal, you know, with his announcement, because it turned out that some of the supporters who came out to watch him were actually movie extras who were paid $50. I am guessing this is not the first time Donald Trump has paid someone $50 to pretend he excites them. But I tell you, he has one real fan, Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin took to her Facebook page to say he's courageous, tenacious, and he will fire up the economy. She may not convince a lot of voters, but she sure earned her $50. All right, we got a great show.